huge week for Gloucester, Prem 15's final week at King's Home, Queen's Home now, the home of Gloucester Rugby. Just how excited are you for this week?
Oh yeah, immensely so. I think it's been building for a long time. I think our S&C told us 2 weeks ago that this would be a 50-week season, and that we're coming into the 50th week. So it's been tough. There's been a lot of time and effort gone into it, but to finally get there, to be able to play on the best stage ever for the last game would be amazing.
And obviously, how much has this drive been from the start of the season? It's been such a long season for you, like you just said then. How hard has it been to kind of keep pushing, just knowing that this is what the final stage is going to be?
Do you know what? It hasn't been it's been tough in terms of on your body and stuff like that, but mentally I think all the girls are always in such high spirits. Everyone has their lows, but when you have a low, everyone else around you pulls you back up and kind of gets you on their level. So it's just been a privilege, to be honest. The rugby that we've played this year has been so fun to be involved in, and it's not like a job if you enjoy what you're doing, and we've really enjoyed this year.
Obviously such a tough semi-final against Bristol here as well. So how's the prep been since then? Obviously week off, no game this weekend just gone. So how's the prep been since then?
Yeah, it's been brilliant. We've backed off a little bit. We've had the privilege to be able to back off. Had a bit of time away, which was really important. Obviously this weekend everyone got home, loads of people did different things and reset themselves, and then we're back in with a bang today. So we're looking forward to being back together. We needed the break, we needed the rest, but we're ready to go for sure.
Obviously Exeter in the final, they won that final game, but the outpass slightly changed Gloucester team. So do you feel like that gives them a little bit of momentum heading into this one, or do you think it's completely reset?
Nah, it's reset. They might use it as momentum, and that's fair. Whatever they want to say, whatever they want to do about that game, that's absolutely fine. I think for us it's given us a bit of a fire to be able to put some wrongs right. I think we also know that there was a very changed team that was out on that field, but the team that played them when we were down in Exeter at the beginning of the season was a completely changed team again, and we got the better of them on that day. So you just don't know. This league is the beauty of it. You don't know who you're coming up against on the day, and then who's going to take that result at the end. So it's very exciting. We're all very excited. I'm
kind of prepping for that Exeter team. Do you look at them as a team as a whole? Do you look at the biggest threats like Zachary, Poppy Leitch, or do you just look at them as a team as a whole?
I think the thing about Exeter is they're quite structured, so we kind of are looking at the blueprint of what they do and where they like to do it. That's massive for us. I think working teams out and working out their plays is huge, so definitely something that we're looking at. Equally, we know that they've got threats all over the board. You've mentioned a few of them, but I think Rachel Johnson's in that mix, Hope Rogers is in that mix. I think Flo's had a good season as well, so just making sure that we're aware of them, but we don't need to go above and beyond to try and look at them over our game. I think if we get our game right on the day, then we'll be absolutely fine.
And kind of just looking towards Saturday again, kind of the emotions of what it's going to be like for yourself, leading the team out, the home of Gloucester Rugby, just what your emotions going to be like then?
I'm trying to keep a lid on it, to be honest. People keep talking to me about it, and yeah, of course that emotion comes over. I'll well up a little bit, the excitement's there, we're extremely excited, but I think for me, when backs against the wall or when they're the high pressure games like that, I relish it, I love it, I absolutely love running out here. I think it's an absolute honour to be able to be out here in front of home family, home crowd, home friends, all of that sort of thing, but most importantly with the people that we're doing it with. And every time I put on this shirt it's a privilege. I absolutely adore it. I adore the girls, the staff, everyone around it, so nothing's going to change for us. We've had a quality season, it's just one more game, and we just need to make sure that we stay controlled in what we're trying to do, and I'm sure that we will.
You mentioned obviously wearing the shirt with pride. Obviously you had the names on the back of your shirt for the semi-finals. How important is that, kind of the growth of women's rugby? Obviously the Red Roses had it for the Six Nations, so how important is that for women's rugby?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a really cool stage that we've got to that point in the game. But for me, the shirt never changes. It doesn't matter what shirt you're wearing. It's about the group that you're in and who the people are. I think you saw in the change rooms what it meant to people like Ellie Underwood. She had tears rolling down her face and stuff like that, which is just hugely special, and we'll always celebrate those moments. We're forever grateful that we get to have those moments. But obviously coming from where I've come from in the women's game, that's just another thing that's just epic, and ultimately nothing changes. It's about the people in the circle and 15 people on our team on that pitch on the day.
And obviously the new sign outside for the week, Queen's Home, just how kind of special is that? How nice a touch is that from Gloucester?
Yeah, it's class. We're very fortunate to have an unbelievable marketing team behind us. They massively got on board with the women's game, probably why you're seeing the final at King's Home this weekend, Queen's Home if you like. We're unbelievably privileged to have the support of people like that around us, and I think just that little touches like that, that's one that you've seen, but there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes as well, which is just epic.
And obviously the finals being on BT and BBC, there's so much more media coverage yourself with Good As Scaz and the rugby. Just how important is all this all this extra media going to be to grow women's rugby heading into 2025?
It's huge. I think there's always that debate about what comes first. Is it the media or is it the support and the finances that come into it? But if everything's growing simultaneously, then the game's just going to be in the best place. And for me, it's really important. It's important that it's available. It's important that people can see it. And when people can see it, I don't think we've ever really had any bad press when people have genuinely come and watched the game with an open mind. So if you can see it, then I'm sure that you'll want to come back, and that's what we want. We just want to entertain.
Obviously, Rachel, Prem 15's final week, you had the kind of practice of this last year, had 2 cup finals. Just how excited are you for this one?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I was joking with a friend before coming here, like, you need to think of a different word than excited, but I'm just really excited. So I think last year we put so much into our semi-final, and obviously we're excited to make it to a final, but I think nerves definitely got the best of us, and it wasn't, no one would say that was our best performance, but I'm really excited to kind of change that storyline this year. And I think the energy at Chiefs right now is everyone's excited and focused on the task ahead.
How tough was that semi-final against Saracens, kind of like mentally and physically getting that try right at the end as well?
Yeah, it was definitely tough, but not to be like too cocky or anything like that, but there was like never a moment in that game where I didn't think we could do it. I had 100% belief in our team, and I think that you would ask most of the players and they would say the same thing. I think that's something that's really different this year. I think we've had some really hard matches where we weren't able to pull things out at the last minute, and I think this was important because we came out of that second half really ready to go. We're able to put a couple tries on and then close the game out when we knew we needed to.
Obviously, it's been such a long season, starting with the World Cup all the way through to the Prem 15's final in June. Obviously, you're going to be going away for the Pack 4. Just how tough is it to kind of keep going as a player?
Yeah, there's a lot of mental skill side of it, but I love this game. It brings me such joy. The women's game is growing. We obviously continue to need more resources and things like that to equal things out, but none of us would be in this position doing the things we do if we didn't have extreme respect, passion, and joy for the game. So at the end of the day, that's what keeps you going. But it will be nice after the Pack 4 to maybe get a couple weeks off.
Obviously, you just quickly touched on the Pack 4. Obviously, there's quite a few Americans in the league. Just how important is it for them and also the USA that your players are playing in one of the biggest leagues, one of the biggest and best league in the world?
Yeah, this is without a doubt the best league in the world. So it's an honor and a privilege to be here. I think it's not just good for our individual development, whether that's us USA players, Canadians, Italians, but it's also really good for our respective countries that we can get this sort of experience to play against this competition and then be able to take that back to our countries.
And you kind of mentioned the growth of the women's game. Obviously, the finals on BT Sports, on BBC, there's so much media kind of growing the game. Just how important is that media growth going to be to grow the game heading forward?
Yeah, I think, what did someone say once, that you just need to get someone to a women's game and they'll come back again. It's an exciting game. It's different from the men's game. We play a different sort of style. It's a little bit fresher, and I think fans have really liked that. At Sandy Park, we get lots of fans out that love the game. I think the final of the Women's Six Nations showed that we can sell out matches, the women's game, from the last World Cup. So I think the more and more we can get people to games, and that's going to be through media, so people know, tickets available, I think we're going to have a really growing fan base.
You kind of touched on your Sandy Park crowd. Obviously, your fans travel across the country for you. Just how important is it to kind of play for them, and how nice is it for you to have that support every week?
Yeah, no, it's incredible. Just reflecting on that, of course, like, it's amazing to be able to have friends and family at the game. My mom was just over visiting, which was really special, and so that will never be not special to me, but it is a different sort of feeling when you have just people who are just community members, fans that want to come out to your game that have no personal connection to you other than that they love your team and love the sport. So we have something really special at Sandy Park. They've really shown out this year coming to our away games, and I know that they're going to cause a big scene at Kingsholm.
It's a week for Gloucester and Gloucester-Hartpury as a club. Just how excited are you for the Prem 15's final week?
Yeah, very excited. A couple of things really. Being in the final of the Allianz Premiership is amazing, but playing at Kingsholm, which we're really excited for.
Yeah, obviously it's been such a long season, starting with the Prem Cup back in September, now June. Just how hard has it been to keep the girls motivated all the way through the season?
Yeah, very difficult. You know, it's like you said, it's a long season, not just for players, for staff as well. So it's making sure that staff members are being motivated all the way through it as well. So yeah, it's making sure that we are keep everybody peaking at the right time, and that's been something which we've been having meetings about all year.
Obviously Bristol last weekend just gone, a week break, kind of no rugby, so just how's the prep been from that semi-final, a tough semi-final, heading into this week?
Yeah, it's been good. Last week was a bit of a lighter week, just all about detail. This week now we've just turned it up a little bit. Good sessions already that we've had today, and tonight we'll be back training, so looking forward to it.
How much of the kind of prep for a final is focusing on Exeter or compared to focusing on your team, that kind of Exeter's biggest threats as well?
Yeah, look, going into the semi-final, a lot of that prep went into Bristol as well. For us to get where we are, let's keep doing what we're doing, but just making sure that we are looking at Exeter's threats, which are big.
And obviously it's a home semi-final at Gloucester. A lot of the girls are locally based. Just how is it going to be tough kind of managing their emotions in one of the biggest stages they may have played in?
Oh, it's very tough, and it's just making sure that we don't get awed by the occasion. We're enjoying we're going to go out there and put on a real good performance, but the girls are in a good place.
Obviously the ticket sales are going well. It's on BT, it's on BB Sport. Just how important is to kind of get that media focus on the game to help grow the game heading towards obviously 2025 World Cup for England and just growing the Prem 15 as a product?
It's amazing, and making sure that it's on BT, and why was the Lionesses so successful regarding it is because there wasn't any other sport on at that time, and this is a perfect example for us now, is to make sure that we are capturing all of the rugby audiences regarding June. Not much rugby being played, so it's a great opportunity for us to capture those neutral.
Obviously, Susie, Prem 15's final week, back-to-back finals for Exeter. Just how excited are you for this one?
Yeah, we're really excited. We've obviously had an experience of going to a final and sadly coming second best. So we're really determined to try and avoid second place and maximise the opportunity.
Do you think obviously having Prem 15's final last year, 2 cup finals in the Allianz Cup, heading into this one gives you kind of a bit of a advantage heading into this one, knowing like what a final is and how difficult a final can be?
I mean, it could do. It should do. It's how you embrace it, really. So, as you said, we've managed to take 2 Prem Cups home back to back, which has been really pleasing. Probably a little bit different group of players, but as I said, yeah, that experience of last year has definitely set us in a good position, to get into the final on Saturday and give it our best.
It's been such a long season, obviously starting back in, I think it was September near enough, like actual cup games. It's now June. Just how tough has it been for you to kind of motivate the players all the way through and also keep your staff as well motivated all the way through?
I think the players are unbelievable. They motivate themselves. They don't really need motivation. They want to be the best that they can be. You have the times when they go away with their respective nations and then they come back in, but they love being at Chiefs, and that's the only motivation that they need. They want to be the best. They want to be the best for each other, and the reality is, when we go onto that field on Saturday, that squad will probably never play with each other again. So if we can come out with a cup, then it's going to be absolutely fantastic.
What do you think like you said, it's going to be the kind of last game as a squad? It's kind of can be that like for a lot of teams. What are the emotions going to be like for you, kind of coaching the side?
I don't know. I feel incredibly proud of what we've achieved in 3 seasons. The desire to be the very best is very much within me in a competitive game. But yeah, the pride, the determination, that squad having come from nothing 3 years ago to where we are now. I just think it's an incredibly exciting time, and the main thing about finals is you've got to make the most of it because they don't come around very often. So how can we get out there and really be the best version of ourselves, and that is truly being Chiefs. That's the message.
And Poppy mentioned about your travelling fans. You travel around the country. Obviously there was 4K at Sandy Park last week. Just how important is that for you as a coach?
They're amazing. I think I said to the girls they deserve to be home at Sandy Park in a semi-final because of what they did, especially the first half of the season. The Sandy Park crowd is immense. They love rugby. They don't care if it's a male player or female player or squad on the field. They just love rugby. They love coming to Sandy Park, and they were huge last weekend. The fact they came to Saracens, to Bristol, to Gloucester, and they brought the noise. And the girls really thrive on it. You know, they really want to play for them. They're not just fans, they're friends, they're family, and there's really good relationships developed there. So listen, we want to do it for ourselves, but of course we want to do it for those guys as well.
Zoe, Prem 15's final week here at King's Home or Queen's Home for the week. Just how excited are you for this one?
Yeah, super excited, but I think it's just about keeping our mind on the game, so keeping that excitement contained so that we can bring it out on Saturday.
How are the emotions going to be for you running out here on Saturday?
I think it's going to be incredible, like just hearing the shed roar. I think it'll be absolutely amazing, and obviously we've had a couple of games this season and I think we've kind of tried to build that atmosphere already, so hopefully we'll get a lot of supporters down and it'll be really loud.
I know it was semi-final against Bristol, obviously a really tough second half for yourselves. Just how's the prep been since then, heading into that week off and heading into this week as well?
Yeah, I think it's just been about tightening them screws, like obviously working on the things that we needed to from Bristol, and the last couple of weeks we've just been trying to tune them up, and I think this week it's just about making sure the squad's really confident and really on the same page so that we can go out on Saturday firing.
Obviously it's been a long season for you, starting about way back with World Cup prep, World Cup. Just how tough has it been to kind of keep going, keep motivating yourself going forward to this final?
Obviously, like it has been tough. Like I won't lie about it. Obviously, going in week in week out. But the motivation going into the final is huge, and I don't think I need anything. It just comes from within, to be honest with you. So that gives me the fire to go this weekend.
Is there any kind of heartbreak from that World Cup final driving you forward into this one?
Yeah, I think obviously I don't want to have that feeling again in another final. So obviously it doesn't make up for it at all. But like to be able, if we could this weekend go and do that in this final, I think it would be very, very cool.
Obviously the game is going to be on BT, BBC Sport. There's so much wider press, and obviously Modi and Gloucester and the rugby, all these kind of podcasts and things growing in women's rugby. Just how important do you think that media is to help grow in the game heading into kind of 2025 World Cup?
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. Like I think we're very thankful for all of it, and I think that the more people can see it, the more it'll attract people, and that's just amazing for women's rugby.
Obviously the crowd's growing as well, all the young girls and boys kind of coming to watch. Just you see it at the Alpass, you see it here now. Just how important is that kind of you to kind of, oh, I'm playing for these people, the future Red Roses?
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing to see, and going round at the end, like there's so many young girls there and they'll like say such sweet things to you, and I think that kind of gives you the motivation to keep going, to put on really good performance, so then it motivates those young girls to be able to hopefully one day be a rugby player, and so it's absolutely amazing to see, and the more young girls and boys that we can get in, it's absolutely fantastic.
Obviously Exeter in the final is kind of internationals all across their team. Been the second row Poppy Leitch, also one of their co-captains. Just how much of a battle is it going to be between your two packs on Saturday?
Yeah, I think obviously it's two of the biggest packs in the league, and I think that's where the game is possibly going to be won. Who can get who has the best sort of set piece and who can be the most dominant in those areas. So yeah, it's going to be a massive battle.
How much kind of prep is being kind of looking at yourselves, but also looking at them and looking at their strengths as well?
Yeah, so a lot of it is we do look at ourselves, because obviously if we can be the best that we can be, then I believe that there's no stopping us, but obviously we do like to look at other teams, and I think it's really crucial to understand how they play so that we can execute the things that we want to do.
Be a massive week for Exeter, back-to-back Premier 15 finals.
Yeah.
How are the emotions heading into this one?
Yeah, good. I think we learnt a lot the last time we played in the final last year against Saris. You mean they're a side that are good at winning finals, and I think we felt that last year, so feeling much more probably prepared emotionally, having been there last year, but really excited. Yeah, had a nice week last week, a little bit of a break, and then we've been back in it this week, ready to go ahead into the final on Saturday.
Just how tough was that final, kind of emotionally, physically, just tough on the body?
What, the semi-final?
Yeah, semi-final, sorry.
It's probably up there with one of the hardest games I've been involved in. I think everybody knows what it's like to play Saris. They're a team that can also turn up on the day, no matter what the occasion and no matter what side they've got out. But I do think that home advantage made a massive difference for us. You know, we had 4,000 people in the crowd, Saris and Chiefs supporters, but that made a big difference to the actual atmosphere of the day, which made a massive difference to our kind of emotion going into it. But yeah, really good game, really physical, but you know, to win at the end and Chiefs style was was good fun, but I kind of wish we'd put the game to bed a little bit earlier on, but at least it made it fun for the fans.
Obviously, I think there's a lot of your fans going to be travelling up here to Kingsholm on Saturday. Just how important is that you have those travelling fans all the way you go in the Premier League? How important is that travelling fan base?
Yeah, massive. I feel quite fortunate being in Exeter, like kind of the community sense. Everywhere you go in the southwest, people are asking you about Exeter Chiefs, when's your next game? And that's not just the men, it's very much the women these days as well, which is amazing, and it's an accolade to the fans that we have. But there's a real core group that go every single week. We've got Colin, we've got Alexis, we've got a real tight-knit group of them that come everywhere. Like, I think it was our cup semi-final at Bristol at Shaftesbury Park, and a fair amount of them travelled, and it made a real big difference to the day. So yeah, really fortunate to have a good fan base, and 4,000 in Stanley Park is pretty amazing. Whether you're a Sarries or a Chiefs player last week in the semi-final, I think everybody appreciated the highlight it put on women's rugby.
Obviously, it was Gloucester-Hartpury in your final game of the season, regular season, a big win, an important win that which secured you that home. So you feel like that gives you a bit of an advantage heading into this one with the momentum?
I don't know about advantage. I think that we knew we needed to come away with a decent amount of points from that game in order to secure a home semi-final. They had already secured the top spot, so potentially there was a different feeling around what that game meant for the different sides. But I think that big result doesn't really mean anything now in a final. Knockout rugby is very different, finals are very different. But I'm hoping that the experience last year and the experience in our cup finals last year and this year will give us a bit of edge in terms of the emotion around what a final feels like, because it's an overwhelming fixture, especially when it's like potentially the first time we've been there like we experienced last year. So yeah, appreciate the finals we've had in the last couple of years have given us a little bit of an edge around us about how to manage them, but any team can win it on the day. I just believe that hopefully it'll be us.
What's it kind of feel like emotions wise to lead your team out in a final just of any sort, really?
I think every game I feel very fortunate to lead the group out, and I think there are some games that are naturally bigger than others, semi-finals, finals, top 4 games being those. I just feel like I'm surrounded by 22 other fantastic players and 40 other fantastic players that might not be taking the field that day. So I feel very lucky, but just pure excitement and pure belief in the squad.
How much of your prep has been kind of focused on yourselves and also looking at Gloucester's team as a whole and their biggest threats?
Yeah, a bit of a mix really. I think having played them in the last round, there are some parts of our preview that we've already built on from playing them last time. Themes maybe, common strike moves, players that we need to be mindful of. But I suppose when it's a final, anybody can bring any tricks out of the bag. So I think the prep now is shifting on to us, which is really important. But I'm really looking forward to the game. I think it's going to be a really exciting, a really aggressive, tight-knit fixture, which is what people need to see in women's rugby, that we're here to be competitive, and every game across the league is of a high standard.
Obviously, you mentioned that kind of competitiveness. How important is kind of how competitive the kind of top half of the Premier 15s this season been for the growth of women's rugby and the Premier 15s heading forward?
Yeah, it's been massive. I think it's also quite nice to see that the teams that have found themselves in the top 4 have shifted a little bit in terms of where they find themselves this year. Notoriously it has been our London-based clubs. Potentially that's because of the catchment area, potentially that's because of the facilities and maybe the history standing behind the clubs. But it's nice to see, ourselves being in the southwest, Gloucester being kind of southwest region as well, in that top 4 region, same with Bristol. So I think the biggest thing is it's nice to see every year those top 4 sports are shifting, and ultimately we want it to be that everybody in the league is fighting for top 4 positions, that there isn't a segregation. And I think every year we're showing that the segregation between the top and the bottom is decreasing, and that any game is there for the take no matter what team you're playing for.